കരുണാർണവമായി കരുതഗതി നൽകും അരുണാചല ശിവം ഈദാ.
Namaste, and welcome to the next episode. This always blisses me out. I can't help myself. The next episode of Drishya Vivekah. And today we're going to cover the subtle body and the powers of Maya. Text 12. Mano'haṁ-kṛtyu-pādānaṁ liṅgam-ekaṁ jaḍātmakaṁ avasthā-trayamanveti jāyate mṛyate tathā. The subtle body, which is the material cause of the mind and egoism, is one, and its nature is insentient. It moves in the three states, is born and dies. Text 13. Shakti dvayam hi Māyā vikshepa vritti-rūpakam vikshepa shakti lingadi Brahmandang tang jagat srijet. Two powers undoubtedly are predicated of Maya, projecting and veiling. The projecting power creates everything from the subtle body to the gross universe. So these two verses are actually on kind of different themes. And the next section will talk about the powers of Maya. So the first verse actually closes out the discussion in the last few verses about the nature of the subtle body. The gross body and the subtle body are connected, but they're not one. But here it says the subtle body is one. So the subtle body is one thing by itself. And the proof of this is that at the time of death, the subtle body drops the gross body, disconnects from it, and goes off into the between lives state. Of course, the analysis of the tattvas analyzes the subtle body into several parts. The prāṇa Maya-kosha, the energy body, mano'haṁ-kṛtyu-pādānaṁ, the mental body, Vijñāna-Maya-kosha, the intelligence body or causal body, and ānanda-Maya-kosha, the bliss body or consciousness. But these four parts act as a whole. Nevertheless, they are insentient. They are all by themselves not living. They are filled with life when they are connected with Brahman, the seer, the witness, the knower. And here we use knowing in the sense of directly perceiving. So this subtle body is actually what drives and animates the gross body. Without the subtle body, the soul or the witness or Brahman would not be able to connect with matter at all. Why? Because Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya. That Brahman is reality and truth and eternal. And Jagat, the multiplicity of different objects in the manifested universe, are mithriyam. Mithya means, well, it's very close to our English word myth. In fact, the word myth derives from mithyam. So mithyam means they're just imagination. They're just an appearance. And this is the mentality or the state of consciousness called Vivartha-vāda. This whole teaching, this whole book is on the platform of Vivartha-vāda. Vivartha-vāda is the platform where Rāja-yoga takes place, the yoga of meditation. So in the yoga of meditation, the idea is to gradually disconnect from the gross body and the senses, and then from the subtle body, one part at a time, until only Brahman is left. It's a process of elimination. We talked about it before, neti-neti. So neti-neti is a logical process by which, when we see each perception coming through the mind, we say, no, this is not it. It's not this. It's not this. And then it's not this. It's not this. It's not this. We continue this process until everything is distanced. You know, the active principle of meditation is not any particular mental process. Although mental processes like neti-neti, kundalini yoga, Ashtanga yoga, and many others are there. But the real active principle of meditation is pure awareness. Simply bringing awareness into the darkness of ignorance, identification, projection, and so on, is enough to dissolve the darkness. In the same way as in a dark room, if you light one lamp, then the darkness is immediately gone. It's not like you have to put lamps all over the place. One is enough. So in the same way, the one Brahman is enough to counteract all the darkness of Maya. Maya is ignorance. She's our enemy and she's our friend. She's actually our mother. She is the one who gives birth to the subtle and gross bodies, in that order. So we are actually under the control of Maya. So what is Maya? Well, Maya is the goddess. She's the creatrix. She is invested by Shiva with all of his powers, and she uses them to create the universe and all the beings within it, and then put them through all kinds of changes using the modes of material nature. The triguna, goodness, satyam, passion, rajas, and ignorance, tamas. So these sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic powers are the projective aspect. And especially the tamasic power is the covering aspect of Maya. And then the next two verses, we're going to get into more detail on this. But know that between these two things, between these two powers, Maya has the ability to create an entire false world. And the only thing that's real in that world is consciousness, or more specifically, awareness. Awareness doesn't need an object. Consciousness requires an object. So awareness is non-dual and consciousness is dual. It requires there's a subject, there's an object, and there's a process of perception in between. These three make up what we call reality. But it's not really reality because it has a beginning, it changes in the middle, and then it has an end and it disappears. The body, for example, it comes into existence at a certain point, it persists for a little while and goes through all kinds of changes. And then it disappears. And everything connected with the body is the same because the body is made up of senses, and the senses are the means by which we perceive the world. The world is an illusion. Why? Because even the world comes into existence, stays for a while, and then goes away. In fact, it happens every single day. We wake up in the morning, we become aware of the world. Okay, and then we go through our day, all kinds of changes happen, right? And then at the end of the day, we go to sleep, and the whole thing disappears. The body, the senses, even our identity, who we think we are, and so on. And we go into a dream world. And the only difference between the so-called waking consciousness and the dreaming consciousness is the duration. The dreams are only good for a few minutes or a few hours at most. Then they're gone. And unless we make a special effort, we can't even remember them. But the waking consciousness persists. It appears to have continuity from day to day. And for that reason, we consider it more real than dreams. But it's still not absolutely real, because it does begin and end, like any illusion. Well, what's the one thing that never changes? It's consciousness, or more precisely, awareness. The awareness that makes consciousness possible is always existing. It has no beginning, no middle, and no end. It is always in the present. For it, there is no time. It's timeless. And we went over this, I don't know, a little more than a year ago. We had a whole series on timelessness. Here's the link. But the consciousness is subject to changes. And we all know this from experience. We have good days and we have bad days. We have pleasant experiences and unpleasant experiences. But really, on balance, the whole thing is unpleasant because everything has to come to an end. Even the pleasant experiences usually aren't perfect. And then, when they end, we feel empty. We feel like, why did I do that? Why did I even try to enjoy this world when it always ends in defeat and death? Confirmed. So, by meditation, by concentration, and by observing these different symptoms of the so-called reality, we can come to an awareness of the actual reality, that which never changes. This is the process of meditation. And in a few verses later on, there's going to be a very nice description of the whole process of meditation. So we should understand that this is the medicine. This is the cure for all the sufferings of life. Right now, a lot of people are caught up in suffering and anger, frustration and violence. They're trying to take out their frustration on something, anything, or anybody that they see as a cause. And this is going all the way up to even the leaders of countries who should be more sober and analytical in their approach. But everyone seems to be caught up in this nonsense. And of course, it's due to the retrograde planets. And just wait till Mercury goes retrograde at the end of June. What is it, June 20th, 21st, something like that? That's going to be a big one, because there's a solar eclipse on the 21st too. So that, combined with Mercury going retrograde and all the other planets, Venus, Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto, that are already retrograde, and oh boy, things are going to get really heated up. So what's the cure? Everybody thinks we can change this about the world and change that about the world. But the problem with the world is that it is subject to change. Try to understand. Change means that something ends and something else begins. There is no change in Brahman. Therefore, Brahman is perfect bliss. This is the thing. When you're in deep sleep at night, there is no change. Therefore, it's really just perfect happiness. And when you have to come out of it into dreams and into waking up, it's actually suffering, isn't it? Like, oh, now I have to wake up, Instead, if we think about something positive, oh, now I get to wake up and meditate and experience Kundalini and Brahman and pure consciousness and bliss. That we have something to live for. Instead of trying to fight this material world, which always results in defeat and death. Instead, understand the nature of this. Drishya Vivekah, discriminate between the seer and the seen. This is the secret of moksha, liberation. Aum Tat Sat. Aum Shakti Aum.